everyone, welcome back to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this episode we're going to announce a contest and talk about some news and updates, so let's get to it. In the last update video, I mentioned that I would be invited to an Ask Me Anything on the board game subreddit of Reddit, and that happened. And boy howdy, were there a lot of questions. And although I didn't get to all of them within the allotted 2-hour time frame, afterwards I went back and made sure I answered all of those questions. So if you asked one and you didn't see an answer right away, it's definitely there now. And if you're just curious to see my answers to a variety of different kinds of what I thought were quite interesting questions, you can find a link to that Ask Me Anything in the description below. I even answered some opinion-related questions. I think I might have also given an almost top 10 and suggested some games to different people, which I normally don't do. So again, if you're interested in that sort of thing, certainly feel free to go there and check it out. I also want to mention we are currently at 74% funded for this season's fundraiser for the next season of the show. This really means a lot. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you weren't aware of the fundraiser, I'll put a link to it in the description below if you'd like to lend your support. Once we reach that initial fundraising goal, then we'll start working towards unlocking PEP so we can continue to work full-time with the show. If you've been enjoying our playthroughs, like the first Martian ones that's currently going, that's the kind of content we'll be able to keep bringing you. There's also a stretch goal that will unlock me wearing a Mountie Cosplay during Gen Con, and I'll just mention that costume has already been obtained. I mentioned this before, but when this stretch goal was first suggested to me, look, I was nervous about it. I'm still nervous about it. I've never done cosplay before. I don't know what to expect. I don't know if I'm up to the task, but I have to confess, I kind of like the hat. So I think I'm actually looking forward to this. And if we don't reach this stretch goal until after this year's Gen Con, don't worry, I'll still fulfill it. I'll just do it during next year's Gen Con. But either way, I'm good to go. So if this happens, I'll be at Gen Con to help citizens cross the street, to open doors for them when their hands are full of games, and to do my best to live up to the Mountie heritage. So, again, if you'd like to support this year's fundraiser, we'd certainly appreciate it. There's some great perks there for you to collect. And again, you can find that link in the description below. Next, I want to mention that you might have seen the video where I talked about being the special guest at this year's Geek Nation tour to Essen. And although there was a lot of initial interest in this, I think there was some sticker shock afterwards because unfortunately not enough people were able to fully commit to make this year's tour go ahead. And you know what? I can't fault anyone for that at all. This was a big ticket item, and I honestly felt some reservations myself about strongly advertising this tour. Look, you know I already have trouble recommending a $60 game. I had some reticence about recommending this tour when I really hadn't done it myself. I believed in good faith it was going to be a great tour, but I couldn't say it from a place of experience. And so on some level, it's maybe not the worst thing that this year's tour couldn't happen, but I do have some good news. Terrace, the head of Geek Nation's tours, is still going to send me on that tour this year with the guide that we would have had so I can get first-hand experience of exactly what this trip would have been like. And in exchange for that, I'm going to take my video camera and record lots of footage that I can compile into a presentation that both he and I can share so that people can really see what this tour is like. And I'll then have had first-hand experience so I can then recommend in good faith exactly what this trip is trying to be. And also I'll be able to give my own recommendations to Terrace about things that I think maybe could be improved about the tour and ways that all of us would like to be able to increase the geeking out and gaming that we'll be able to do on this trip. Either way, if you have an interest in this tour still, consider saving your pennies for 2018 when that's going to happen. And you can certainly still continue to stay in touch with Terrace at HeadGeek at geeknationtours.com if you have an interest and would like to reserve a spot. Oh, I also wanted to mention the kind folks over at Portal Games have offered to give me a little corner of their booth at Essen, so if people would like to say hi, there'd be a scheduled time and place that people can find me and maybe even play a game. So if that interests you, closer to Essen, I'll have some kind of schedule I'll put together and mention it then. All right, let's wrap this episode up with a contest thanks to our friends over at Navu Games, the creators of Stockpile, a game we've also featured on this channel. They now have a new game they gave us an extra copy of for this giveaway called Crosstalk. This is a party-style game where you have one team where one player knows the secret word and the rest of the team is trying to guess it. But the other teams are also trying to guess that word. So you'll be giving both public and private clues. So you don't want to be too good with your public clues, but at the same time, your team is guessing out loud, so other teams are hearing that and might have a chance to guess it first. If you'd like to win a copy of this game, it's very simple. Just go to the description of this video and there'll be a link there, and you just go and fill out your information at that location. Now, I should mention, if you donated during last season's fundraiser at $15 or higher, then you're automatically entered into this contest. There's nothing more that you need to do. And in this season's fundraiser, you'll notice there's no perks that talk about contests, but this same perk level exists. It's just called something else. The reason for that is because Indiegogo has some policies around how contests are used during a fundraiser, and we're not breaking any of those. But if you use the word contest anywhere on your fundraiser page, it just sends up a red flag, and then they have to talk to you, and it involves a back and forth that I'd just rather not have to go through. So instead, I'm just mentioning it here. And keep in mind, you never ever have to donate in order to be entered into one of our contests. There's always another way. But this is just an additional benefit we can offer to people who support our show financially, which we really appreciate. In other words, even if you don't know about one of our contests, you'll automatically be entered into it, and there's no website you have to visit and fill information out. It's just a small perk, but it's something we like to offer. If you do have to fill out an entry, just make sure you get that done by August 15th, 2017, and we'll have the draw at some point shortly after that. Well, that's everything for this episode. Until the next one, thanks for watching.